Hi everyone, welcome back to Present Pilgrimage. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Iyabo. Today we're going to talk about Ubuntu. You guys know I'm from Nigeria. Ubuntu, the term Ubuntu, is an Ngugi Bantu term meaning humanity from South Africa. So let's talk about what that is. Granted, all of Africa is not the same. I'm from Nigeria. This is a South African term.
We just had a whole discussion about that, right?
Right.
My daughter.
But there's certain principles that are shared African principles. So one of the things in America is this very highly individualized way of being, right? I worked hard. I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. And all of that may be true, but we forget that we live in an interconnected world, right? And so Ubuntu reflects that interconnectedness. It says, I am because we are. There is no me without us, right? So what that, you may think of it in terms of your relationships in your family, your nuclear family. You are because you have a mom and dad, biologically DNA, right? But we're talking about Ubuntu as a philosophical way of living. The Buddhists talk about it in terms of interconnectedness. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways you can think of this is, I had a cup of coffee this morning, right? If I think of who grew the coffee. So this particular batch, my friend Nolan from Chicago gave me coffee he got in Haiti. So when you think of the person who picked the coffee beans, the person who processed the coffee beans, the person who packaged the coffee beans in like probably a big sack and shipped it off to the manufacturer who did whatever they did. You think about the shipper. You think about the driver of the truck. You think about how it came here by boat or air.
It didn't just like appear out of nowhere.
So already, then think of it like in Starbucks and the number of people it went through in a place like Starbucks, and think of it.
And you go to meet your regular coffee server and you say hi in the morning. And
exactly.
Like, oh, I know your order.
Exactly. And so here I am today. I have a relationship with, and we're still on this theme of transformational relationships. So, of course, I can't have anything but a transactional relationship with the coffee bean grower in Haiti because I don't even know who the heck it is. But what I can do is be respectful, right? Buy my coffee fair trade. Buy my coffee in a cooperative that tries to help and know who the growers are. Mm-hmm. That's one way of looking at interconnectedness. So in Ubuntu, I always encourage people to try and lose a little bit of their sense of self and being self-made and how I end here and you begin there. It's a way to stop othering other people. We're very good at setting a distance and putting you way over there, which makes it very transactional, makes it very lonely. It's a way I get to skip over. It's a way I get to skip over your humanity, right? So in Ubuntu, let me show you some of the ways it carries on. I think of being at AAR, the American Academy of Religion, in Atlanta. So this conference, this academic conference, I mean, God knows how many thousands of people, probably 20, 30,000 people come to that crazy thing. And so I was with my friend from Kenya and my other friend from Congo. And my friend from Congo was presenting and her parents were there and her younger sister was there. And so we all got together to hear her present. And then afterwards, her daddy wanted to go to where the books were, which was in a different hotel. And so all of a sudden, here comes this sea of Africans, colorfully dressed, gravitating through the hotel, moving as a unit to go over to where the books are. In the meantime, I've already started calling him daddy. That's what we do. If you call him daddy, I call him daddy, right? And so here we are. I was like, but why are we all going to the book place? We want to go eat. No, after we go to the book place, we're going to go and eat. And all of us had to go and go from one place to another. it was an instinct that just kicked in. And they're not even Nigerians.
Yeah.
That is what we do. Or like another instance would be if a Nigerian has a friend, if a Nigerian home person calls me with a problem. This is a very American way of saying, oh, really? I'm so sorry you're going through that. It'll all work out. Oh, my Lord. That you cannot answer like that.
Yeah.
No. When you have a problem, I have a problem. I cannot sleep till your problem is resolved.
Yeah.
This is how we function. That is what your Ubuntu looks like. It's a way of communal living, communal being, understanding I'm part of you. So if you have a problem, I have a problem. And it is so natural to us. Yeah. I find myself in the midst of it.
I'm like, really, you're giving me new appreciation for my ex-husband because I used to be so mad that he would stay out till all hours of the night dealing with other people's problems. And now when you talk about it, he just didn't consider, he considered them his own problems. And that's how he just was part of being a community. You know, this person has an issue, he's coming to me like, doesn't matter that it's not nothing to do. And I would tell him like, there's nothing to do with you, you know, and he'd be like, no, but I have to go help this person. And I would be home with the kids, like, but you need to be at home. But that just is what he, and when you're talking, I'm looking at the 5 pillars of Islam, and zakat is charity, the almsgiving. And it says, zakat can be defined as purification and growth because it allows an individual to achieve balance and encourages new growth.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, it's not about, I feel sorry for you.
No.
Here's some pity money. It's about, this is important for me as a spiritual principle. Right. All things belong to God, obligatory for all Muslims. And as I've told you before, you know, in his town in Egypt, the homeless rate is probably less than 0.2 or 0.02% because they don't accept, if someone's homeless, it's your obligation to either bring them into your house or find a place for them to stay.
Now, the beauty of this is that no human system is flawless.
Yeah.
Yes, it creates a problem. Yes, it's created problems for me where people have come and lived in my home and then I couldn't get rid of them. Or like you said, you're left to deal with the children. Now, if you were an African woman, let me tell you something that would have soothed you, right? You're faced with these kids. He's busy out there saving the world. Yeah. You would have felt proud that you were married to a man who had a sense of communal obligation and the respect that goes into when someone comes to you in African culture that you can help me solve my problem. Yeah. That you're up here way high in respect. That's an act of respect to ask someone to solve your problem. Yeah. So if that was your cultural context, that would have fed your soul to say,
I did have those moments,
but then but it's hard, isn't it? Especially and this is why I love doing intercultural work, because I believe sharing knowledge helps us. If you had a framework for that, it would have been easier to deal with. And then also if he had a framework for the impact it had on you as a foreign person, he would have been, he himself should have should have handled it in a way that it didn't create a void at home. Yeah. That's the truth of it. Yeah. So using this as a social justice, in terms of the concept of social justice, I think it helps us look at how do we create truly inclusive spaces, right? I get very concerned when I hear social justice activists. Let's use men, for instance, right? Now, maybe I'm biased. I love men. I loved my daddy. He was a wonderful human being. I have the best brother in the world. I have tremendous respect for him. There are men I know galore that I just uphold. I think they're amazing men. Don't get me wrong. I've kissed my fair share of frogs. Okay? Men are kind of like human beings. There's some are not so cool and some are really, really cool. I'm not trying to say that all men are good and we should take everything that they do. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, as we do the Me Too movement, as we do the Mute R. Kelly, which is really important to Jennifer and
Kenyette Tisha Barnes is an amazing, amazing woman and all
Advocate.
kinds of advocate, and she has led the way for years on this, and shout out to her. And I'm messaging her. I was like, let me know how I can help you. Like, just
Yeah. So as we work to elevate the consciousness of low conscious men to respect women and to be in transformational relationships with women, I think it's important that we don't throw all men under the bus. I think it's important that we don't silence all men. I think as we do racial work, it's important that we bring along white women and white men and everybody, and black men and black women. Everybody belongs to a good, wonderful, whole life. And so I get very concerned when I see activists that are like, for instance, we all say smash the patriarchy, right? Well, I say don't smash the patriarchy, not all of it. Patriarchy is a wonderful tool in the military, there's a whole question there about do we even need a military and wars and stuff. In a military combat situation, you need one man giving instructions, right? In an emergency room situation, you need clear directions. And those are two instances where there's urgency and there's life and death, where we need that model of leadership that says one voice is who runs this show. And that's what I'm talking about. So throwing out everything about men and men having been in leadership, I'm not willing to do that because I believe in Ubuntu. I believe in bringing along everybody. Do we leave them alone as they've been? Do we leave racists as racists and say, oh, we're carrying them along? No. Do we leave men as sexist nutcases and say we're carrying them along? Is that no? They need to grow.
I agree with what you're saying in principle.
Yeah.
I worry that I wonder if it's sort of gone too far in things, the toxicity, if is it able to be sort of rescued or redeemed, or pieces of, what you're saying, like a hierarchical approach to, organizational behavior. Mm-hmm. But, so I still, I'm agreeing with, I'm validating what you're saying, but I just don't know as far as the reality of how I feel where our culture is today, or maybe the world. If things don't need to be kind of torn down in order to be, reconstructed. Yeah.
Well, this is what a lot of activists, especially in racial work, are saying. Mm-hmm. And when I think of tearing down, like let's say we're talking about mass incarceration, are we actually going to be able to tear down the police, the judicial system, state system, appellate system, federal system, all the way to the Supreme Court? Is that really a reality?
I feel my approach now with all the wonderful activism that's going on in Georgia, particularly, I'll speak for Georgia, but across the country, is I want to support those people like Kenya Barnes, or people who are advocating for, transparent elections, Stacey Abrams, progressives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
I don't know where the destination's going to be, right, but I got to get behind because I believe in what they're saying in the principle. And
I absolutely agree with you on that. I'm behind them too. I do think certain things need to be stripped away, like how we don't have health care for everyone in this country. That has to be reconstructed, right? That whole paradigm.
The healthcare system, yeah.
But what I'm saying is that when it comes to people, structures, I think we can change. We've seen structures change. I don't think they get axed at the root and uprooted and thrown out and reconstructed from scratch. I don't think that happens. But I think enough change over time happens, and it's small and incremental, that ultimately there's change. And we have to continuously work at that. Look at what happened with the women in Congress this year. That's a change, but it's incremental. And there were losses along the way, like Stacey.
Yeah,
but then at the end of the day, it will be a win.
Quick, I think, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
What I'm saying are people, like, okay, when it comes to white men, That's why we have what we have going on in America right now. Folks are threatened and they feel left out. They feel everything that supposedly they had worked for is being thrown away, and their identity is under threat. The fact that we're going to be a majority-minority country shortly is a threat to people who've been in power.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that we don't have to throw them away. There's still value in their labor and their work.
I mean, it's like the people who voted for Trump, you know, who lost jobs or wages or money because of his policies. I feel for those people.
Right.
I mean, they're confused. They're deeply confused.
They're misguided.
Yeah.
Things were said to them between fake news and all this stuff. Things were said to them, but we know so this is another way of looking at Ubuntu. As long as we have poor Americans, I'm poor, regardless of how much money I have in my bank account.
Right.
And so when middle America, when those farmers are suffering, when those coal miners are suffering, I'm suffering. That's Ubuntu.
You know, the infant mortality rate is so high, and women are getting pregnant. We have we have so much potential. We have a terrible record as far as, you know, giving care to pregnant women and women dying in childbirth. Right.
Women dying in childbirth. For every black male that's killed on the street, I'm killed. That's Ubuntu.
Yeah.
And so for every black male killed in the street, you as a white woman listener, you are killed in the street. My point is this: the same energy that directed a militaristic police officer to kill a black kid in the street, you are not far away from your kid being the one that is now the other, that's ostracized, that becomes the demon kid, that now gets shot by what? A black cop shooting a white kid in the street. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
That
they were having gun, safety drills,
That's what's happening with schools now, right? It's not the cops, but it's somebody else. So the same issue that affects one group of people that makes you get excited about social justice for them is the same issue that's getting ready to come hit you at home below the belt. That is Ubuntu. That is why you have to put the energy into fixing problems that exist in our society. Yeah. The other thing that I want to leave you with is that you cannot, and I say this 1,000 times a day, you cannot create a solution to a problem with the same energy that created the problem. So if hate and dehumanization and transactional relationships created black boys being killed by the police, mass incarceration and slavery and all that stuff, that same energy of transactional ways of showing up in the world is not going to be the way we fix those problems. Preach. So we have to transform. You have to transform, our dear and precious listeners. And that's it for today's episode of Present Pilgrimage. Email us, presentpilgrimage.com. Share the podcast. Tell tons of folks about it. And let us know what you think. If you agree, if you don't disagree, tell us. Bring it on.
All right. Take care.
Bye.